ISO 16.
Hi, my name is Paul, I'm a German filmmaker, and today you see a video on ISO 10,000. I just got hit by the brightest flash ever in my life. I was blind for a second, that was ultra crazy. I didn't capture it on camera, but a second after this I ran inside and got my Lumix S1H. That's a little video how to film for others. And I have here 30 points for you, that some years of knowledge how to film for others. I know this camera has two ISO circuits, one is on 640 and the other is on 4000. Is the noise then equal when you step from like 640 base ISO to, let's say, 2000? Is it then from 4000 to 10,000 the same ISO noise? I don't know, I never figured it out. If you have any knowledge about it, please teach me. The first point is actually quite easy. Nail focus first and then hit record. I cannot stand it when I see that people hit record and then they nail focus. Of course I cannot use the footage that is not in focus. Why should you film this? So please focus first, then hit record. The next easy thing is use a tripod. A cinematic video is not made with a gimbal. A cinematic video is often made with a tripod, so get a nice tripod and film steady shots with a tripod. The next thing is quite the opposite. Know your IBIS settings. The Lumix has basically 3 IBIS settings. One is no IBIS, the second one is body IBIS, then the third one is actually also lens IBIS, then there's another IBIS where it stabilizes even more, it crops even in a little bit. The last one is particular for tripod-like shots. Don't move the camera in electronic stabilization. Move the camera when you have only the lens and the body stabilization. I would not move the camera as much when I have electronic stabilization enabled. Point 4 is use the handheld camera without any IBIS. If you have a heavy camera with maybe a heavy rig, that's good. A heavy camera makes handheld footage look super nice, and I can recommend filming handheld. I think it gives a nice look. If you film something, we have in German a saying, Vordergrund macht Bild gesund, that use your foreground. Foreground looks always nice. Get some plants or some people. What? That was like a bright flash. Use some foreground, that makes your shot look nice and it makes the image a little bit more 3D. Point 7 is background is more important than the image sometimes. When you frame an image, sometimes is the background even more important. Like in my shot, I split this in half. I want to have here on this side a little bit flashes and a little bit thunderstorm if possible. And on this side I want to have nothing. So frame your shots accordingly. Sometimes is the background more important. Point 8 is white balance. What is the white balance when you have only candlelight? What is the white balance of daylight? What is the white balance when you film in artificial light at night? Learn these things, that's crucial. Auto white balance can ruin a shot because when the white balance changes it looks terrible. Know your white balance. Point 9 is actually don't do stupid shit. Don't try to be Michael Bay. Don't do like, I don't know, make 135mm and try to film a parallax with a small object in the foreground. That can look nice, but you need gimbal for it or even rails. Stick to the things you can, and that will look much better than making some experiments actually. Rule number 10 is a clip is 20 seconds. Don't be this guy that films like a clip for like 8 seconds. You cannot use this. You need a little bit flash in like before and after you roll the clip, and have like a clip is 20 seconds. When you film something under 15 seconds, I don't even look at it sometimes. It's important to have like 20 seconds, that's like a thing. Rule number 11 is then the extension of that, hold the shot. Sometimes, that was a giant flash again, sometimes hold the shot, film longer. Have enough SD cards with you that you can film maybe 10 minutes, maybe longer even. Sometimes it's holding a shot when something important happens and you don't have the camera rolling, then can you miss something, so just film. SD cards are cheap, just let the camera roll. Point 12 is actually audio. Get the audio right, that's important. Have maybe a good microphone, or know your microphone, know how to use it. Use, when you interview someone, a lavalier microphone and monitor your audio via headphones, that's important. Rule number 13, I like slow motion. Use slow motion when you can. I think slow motion looks ultra cool. I think it's not cringy. Slow motion can look very cool. 4K 60 FPS, even when it's cropped. Who cares if it's cropped? Use some nice slow motion, that looks always cool in my opinion. Rule number 14 is quite the opposite. Don't use slow motion when you film someone talking. That looks terrible. Maybe use slow motion when it's cool, but not when people talk and when you want to capture some audio. Then use real time, please. Do me the favor. Rule number 15 is film enough. I stepped on so many things where I hadn't enough B-roll. Last week I shot a behind the scenes with my apprentice and he hadn't enough B-roll for a 10-minute interview. And shoot more B-roll as you think. More is always better and storage is cheap, so keep the camera rolling and have enough B-roll, that's key. Rule number 16 is keep one color look. If you then change the color settings in the camera mid-shoot, you have then Cine like V and the next then you like Rec 709 or natural or landscape or whatever. That is sometimes not fixable in post. Keep to one color setting and stick for this for the rest of the shoot. Maybe change the white balance when it comes from daylight to night or exterior, interior, but stick to one color settings, that's important. Even in 10-bit is this important. Rule number 17, if the client books you, ask him maybe if he knows what he wants. Does he want MP4 in 8-bit? If he knows what is 8-bit and 10-bit, then give him 10-bit. If he doesn't know what MP4, MOV, 8-bit, 10-bit is, give him 8-bit MP4. He can maybe not play back MOV, high quality, 422, 10-bit, and that will be annoying for the client, so ask him before what he wants. Rule number 18, one drone shot is actually enough. I have 2 batteries with my DJI R3. Mostly I use maybe 10-15% of my drone battery on one shot. I use maybe then 10 seconds drone footage. That's maybe enough. One drone shot is sometimes enough. Rule number 19, be prepared. Save your camera settings you want to have for the day on maybe your C1, C2, C3 setting. There's an option in every Lumix camera that you can save a photo or video setting to the C1 mode and save this, that you don't have to fiddle every time the setting when you turn on or off the camera. Save this to your setting, just hit the record button and be prepared, that's important. Rule number 20 is once in a while is a gimbal very nice. I use my gimbal not so often, but once in a while is a simple gimbal shot on a shoot actually very nice. Don't shoot the whole thing, the whole event in gimbal. That looks completely terrible in my opinion, but sometimes on a following shot or when you like do have a specific type, then use a gimbal shot. When you know when to use the gimbal, then you are a good gimbal user. Rule number 21, f4 is sometimes better, even f8 is sometimes better. You don't have to film everything on f1.8, f1.4, f1. Whatever. Sometimes you want to have a little bit more sharpness in the image and you want to have a deep focus, then close the aperture. Rule number 22, sometimes is even f11 necessary. For instance, when you want to shoot a whole big crowd, when you want to have a whole street in focus, sometimes you need, in my opinion, f11. I use it all the time when I want to have large crowds in focus, then I use f11 or f16 or whatever. I use this quite often and people like it. Rule number 23, master the manual focus. I know a lot of new Lumix cameras, S5 Mark IIX and S5 II has amazing autofocus, or even some Sony cameras have even better autofocus, but believe me, autofocus is not always your friend. If you control everything, you want to control also the manual focus, especially in the interview situation, or when something happens. Also, when you master the manual focus, it looks, in my opinion, way more nicer when you do a focus rec. The autofocus looks always terrible. It goes like fast, whip, 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 and manual focus looks sometimes soft and better. There is, even in the cinema world, a job for the focus puller. There is a reason why there is a job for the focus puller. It is a craft to master. When you master the craft, you will be a very good cameraman. Rule number 24, charge every battery and empty every SD card before a shoot. Maybe charge your NPF battery, your internal camera battery, have charged V-mount batteries. You need a lot of power when you shoot, usually more as when you do some hobby videography. When you keep the camera rolling, you use it more, so charge every battery. Rule number 25 is actually have 2 or 3 or even more SD cards. I have Actually, I think 6 or 7. I have a lot of SD cards. I use the Alexa Professional 256 GB V60 SD cards. They are enough for 400 megabits all intra for my Lumix S1H. They are great. I use them all the time and they are amazing. I use these SD cards. Greetings to Alexa. This video is not sponsored by Alexa, but these V60 SD cards are amazing. Rule number 26, have tools with you. When you have a camera in your rig, or sometimes you just need a tool for anything, for mounting a tripod plate on your camera or whatever, have a little toolkit with you, maybe the small rig toolkit or a little screwdriver or whatever. I have always a little box with me with some tools in it. Have tools with you, it's important. Rule number 27, change some lenses if you have time. I have to remind me all the time to this rule because I love my 24 to 70mm S Pro lens from Lumix. That's an amazing lens. I have a video on this. I have 2 videos about this lens online. But if you have time, use also the other lenses, the 70 to 200 or the 16 to 35. Take your time, change the lens, and then give this client another perspective. He will be happy about it. Rule number 28, some people tend to forget that even when they are pros. Greetings to Sebastian. I once sent a friend of mine to a shoot. He filmed an interview with 2 cameras. One camera was on 25 FPS and the other on 50 FPS. When you have some experience, you notice the difference. Usually the client doesn't notice the difference, but stick to your frame rate. Do your client a favor and stick to 1 frame rate, especially is this in the editing way better if you have done 1 frame rate. Stick to 1 frame rate during the whole shoot, and even when you film slow motion, there's always in cameras a S and Q mode, what converts the footage directly to like 25 frames per second. When you then film in 4K 60 FPS, it's then in camera converted to 25 FPS, that the client doesn't have to fiddle around with many different frame rates. That's ultra annoying in my opinion. Rule number 29, I ask my clients always, when they are also a cameraman, do they have some special shots in mind? Have they some favorite shots? Do they want maybe some, I don't know, Michael Bay style or Christopher Nolan? Do they have some specific camera movements that they like? Try to emulate this. If the clients have no wishes at all, good for you, then film however you want. But sometimes you can fulfill some needs or wishes of your clients, and that's then very cool if you then can emulate it. So ask your clients if he or she wants some specific shots. Rule number 30 is for the pros. That's the last tip. Force the client to stage some shots, even when it's only like on an event that they put the beer glasses together or the bottles, or make a little shake hand gesture, or maybe let them make a photo shot, let them walk through the office and do some special stage shots that you only can achieve when the people are informed on what they should do, and maybe when they put something on the table, they write something or anything. Try to stage some shots that looks always very nice. That video doesn't look maybe ultra nice, but we have high ISO, that's fun. 10,000 ISO for 350 at shutter degrees rule. Subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. That was it. See you.